The Singapore Grand Prix unfolded as an incredibly eventful weekend, and it all commenced with Red Bull's unexpected underperformance. It would be worthwhile to delve into Carlos Sainz's remarkable performance throughout the weekend, but it's crucial to acknowledge that such an achievement would have been improbable had Red Bull performed at their usual standard. Various factors could have contributed to their struggles. Perhaps the new regulations restricting flexible wings and floors played a role, or maybe the circuit itself didn't suit their car. It's also plausible that other teams have finally closed the performance gap. Perhaps it was a combination of all these factors that led to Red Bull's downfall. Let's examine these possibilities. This weekend marked one of Red Bull's worst performances in the past 2 seasons. Since the introduction of the Grand Prix cars last season, the only race weekend where they scored fewer points was at the first race of 2022 when they suffered a double-engine failure. It seems like a distant memory now. If George Russell hadn't inexplicably lost his second podium of the season in the final moments of the race, it would have been Red Bull's worst Sunday performance since that same weekend. Since the Bahrain Grand Prix, where Ferrari emerged as early favourites for the 2022 title, Red Bull had only missed the podium in 2 races, Brazil 2022 and the Singapore Grand Prix. Before Singapore, they had appeared on the podium 50 times in 35 races. So, what exactly transpired at the Marina Bay circuit this weekend? Friday's performance was lackluster, with Max Verstappen finishing 3rd in FP1 and Sergio Perez managing only the 7th fastest time in FP2, trailing Carlos Sainz by 0.7 of a second. Red Bull had experienced a few shaky Fridays this season, with Max frequently complaining about shifting issues and other problems. However, they had consistently turned things around and improved overnight in previous races. But this time, Saturday proved to be even worse, with the eventual pole lap being 1.2 seconds faster than Red Bull's best qualifying time, although the team's absence from Q3 may have influenced this. During the race, Red Bull's performance improved slightly, but defeating the half-upgraded McLaren of Oscar Piastri wasn't a notable achievement for a team that had won every race this season. After the race, Christian Horner acknowledged, "At some point, we were going to get beaten. 15 wins in a row is an unbelievable record. We've only been beaten once prior to tonight, since last July." Horner also congratulated Ferrari and Carlos Sainz for their strong performance and victory. He emphasized that Red Bull was still competitive in both championships, with a chance to win the Constructors' title in Japan the following weekend. However, there was no denying the significant shift in Red Bull's fortunes at the Singapore Grand Prix. The focus leading up to the weekend had been on flexible wings, as the FIA had taken a firm stance on Technical Directive 18, TD18. While some teams still had flexible elements, the extent of flexing had noticeably decreased. There was also an update to Technical Directive 39, TD39, from the previous season, which aimed to prevent teams from using flexible floors to hide the fact that their cars were scraping the track surface. Although Red Bull's struggles coincided with the introduction of these new technical directives, it was clear that they weren't solely to blame. The impact of the ban on flexing wings was estimated to cost the worst offenders about 1/10 of a second in lap time, and the changes to the floor test were relatively minor. Christian Horner emphasized that Red Bull had made no changes to their car in response to the new FIA directives. He dismissed the idea that the technical directives were responsible for their difficulties, stating, "There's no silver bullet in this business. I know all of you would love to blame the TD, but unfortunately, we can't even blame that." Red Bull was one of the few teams that did not modify their car for the Singapore Grand Prix, further underscoring that the technical directives were not the primary cause of their problems. Instead, Horner suggested that the team's struggles in qualifying were related to setup issues, as they had not found the right operating window for the car, particularly over a single lap. Singapore has historically been a challenging circuit for teams with dominant cars. Even in the past, when teams had seemingly unbeatable cars, the Marina Bay circuit often proved to be a stumbling block. For example, in 2015, Mercedes, who had dominated that season, could only manage 4th place in a retirement. Horner acknowledged that their pre-race simulations had not led them to the correct conclusions, and they had struggled to find the right setup for the car from the start of the weekend. This exposed weaknesses in their car's performance, which they would need to address in the future, potentially in the RB20. The issue that surfaced in Singapore might have been similar to what was observed at Spa earlier in the year. Despite Red Bull finishing first and second at the Belgian Grand Prix, there were signs of unexpected performance issues. They had to back off the accelerator pedal through the famous Eau Rouge corner to avoid bottoming out the car, a symptom of their suspension setup. One of the strengths of the RB19 had been its ability to maintain consistent aerodynamic performance at various speeds and ride heights. However, the soft suspension that allowed this consistency became problematic on bumpy tracks like Singapore. The constantly changing ride height disrupted the car's downforce and handling, resulting in reduced grip throughout the weekend. Max humorously remarked that he could win a drift race but struggled in Formula One due to these issues. While Red Bull could potentially have addressed these problems given more time and data analysis, Formula One offers no second chances. Each car races on a specific track only once, and getting the setup right on the first attempt is crucial. Although Max and Red Bull had appeared nearly infallible throughout the season, the complex nature of Formula One can catch even the best teams off guard. Singapore's unique challenges, combined with a closer competition from other teams, changes in regulations, and setup issues, all played a role in ending Red Bull's winning streak. The Singapore Grand Prix undoubtedly delivered an amazing race. Whether Red Bull will face further challenges this season remains to be seen. Formula One is a dynamic sport, and surprises can occur at any moment. I'm eager to hear your thoughts and perspectives. Please share them in the comments section below. Also, remember to subscribe to the channel for notifications on our future uploads, ensuring you stay informed about the developments in the 2023 Formula One season.